Every arrow that has ever been shot out of any kind of a bow, long bow, short bow, crossbow, compound, all have a force line that will project the energy from the string to the arrow. And in the nocking, and that is that the string should be in line with the arrow. And that is based on the laws of motion. In order to move an object in the laws of motion, you want to push on its center of gravity in order to move it in a straight line. If you're pushing on it off, as this motion is, it will cause the object to go in a circle. So therefore you always want to work and so how do you start your shot? You start it out, this is the position for the hand, is having the string in line with the arrow. Now this is bare bow shooting without a sight, no aids whatsoever. I'm just holding it here so you can see the arrow more and the string. And that is a technique, is to hold the bow that way. You do not have to grip the bow, just let it sit there. And you draw, and the draw then is made so that it draws in line with that string. Regardless of whether the bow is here, I'm still holding it and so forth, so the arrow and string are in a line. Doesn't make any difference, but that has to be on a long bow. You don't align the string with the center of the bow, and then you're trying to force the arrow, and that's called the old archer's paradox, and I hate that word because it might describe all the actions of the arrow, and if you're going to try to use it in those terms, fine. But we have two things, inertia and gravity. Those are the two things that affect the arrow, and therefore we want that string to exchange the energy. When we go to work and draw this bow back, when we're drawing it back, we are storing energy in those limbs. Then we hold the energy. Now this is a little bow that is specially made that I can actually dry fire it, and it's not going to hurt anything. So I can actually dry fire this bow, but you do not do this with one of your bows at home. So sometimes I hesitate showing this but it's nice just to demonstrate, because this bow can be shot that way. Dry fire it, it doesn't hurt anything. That way I can show releases better without an arrow. So that's what you're trying to do, is exchange that energy. And remember that the string, they talk about follow-through in archery. And follow-through to me should really be talked about in the bow hand, not in this hand. This hand is a reaction to the energy that you're using. When I'm loading this bow up, when I'm starting my draw, I can't go working these muscles, the bicep and tricep. All they can do is close this elbow joint. That's all that they can really do. They will come into play because it's going to close this as I draw with the shoulder girdle in order to move the shoulder blade back in line. So you have to use the shoulder blade and the shoulder muscles in order to draw that string back. And these muscles are only closing this gap in the elbow. That's all that they do. There it is. Now you come into an aiming reference, someplace for an aiming reference. Generally, if you're shooting bare bow, a lot of guys like to get up here and they get their eye, and I'll draw it towards the bow, towards the camera, because now, here's how I want to start my draw. I want that arrow to the string to be in line with the arrow. When I come back into an aiming reference, I want to be able to get my eye so I can see the arrow as close to the string, as close to the arrow as possible. A lot of people want to draw outside of the eye, way out like this, and it'll look like this. Therefore, the arrow is still in line with the string, but it'll be pointed off. So you have to make two adjustments. You have to make a horizontal adjustment to compensate for that fact that you're pointing from out here like this, so I'm looking at the camera, and you have to go up and down like this to overcome the effects of gravity on the arrow. So you have this aiming and this aiming. If you get the alignment here, you only have one. All you've got is this. Also, when you're doing this, you'll find out that spine does not play as big a role in archery as some want to convince you of. But if you're going to hold it differently, where you're going to be pushing the arrow in and try to get it to go around the bow and back in line with the string, you'll be looking for arrow spine the rest of your life. But we find that people that use this technique, it's simply hold the bow. Even if you're going to shoot a bow that has no cutout whatsoever, shoot off your finger as soft bows are, you would hold the bow so the string is in line with the arrow like this, just like that. And that string goes right back into that position. And that's where it returns, and there it goes. The string is still traveling toward the center, but it travels in line with the arrow. That's your draw force line. That's the way a bow works. That's the way a bow works. Now on the recurve, because it goes to work, it has the string is going to lay on that groove. Therefore, this bow is cut in past center, so you can get that same alignment. As this one shows, now this is cut way past center. So this, but again, the arrow should be in line. The string should be in line. You hold it. That's how you start your draw. So the string is in line with the arrow. Then you come back into your anchor position like this and hold. It still stays. Talk about alignment. Where do you line the string? Gap it with the riser? No, no, no. You don't grab it. You line it as close to the sight as you can. The compound proves that. The compound has a string peep, and I don't know why amateurs don't have a string peep, why they don't allow it. Because now they're only shooting one distance, 70 meters. Why can't they have an aiming division where they look at a little $2.50 peep in that string? And it would be so neat, because then they can get this alignment. They don't have to worry about trying to gap it here with the riser or something. You want to get that string as close to the arrow as you possibly can. The sight does not move. Think about it. The sight does not move. So if you're aligning the string with it, because you always put the sight on the target. And if you want to make an adjustment, you're moving the bow and the arrow. The sight stays in the same place. But you're moving the bow. When you would make adjustments here, you're really not moving the sight on the target, you're moving the bow. That's what you're moving. So therefore, if you're aligning your string someplace with the riser, you're complicating it. You're making it very difficult. It can create a lot of problems. Align that string as close to the sight or the center, and I wish the amateurs would allow a peep in the string. It makes it so much easier. Those are some of the things to look for, how things work. After we know exactly how a bow works and how an arrow works, there's so much talk about arrows and spine and all. It gets so confusing, it'll drive you crazy. The arrow in itself, and I'll get the light bow here to show it. The arrow has to do, when when the energy gets exchanged from the limb to the string to the arrow, that string is back here like this. When it wants to get started out, it doesn't want to move. It doesn't want to move. So therefore it bends first. And because the string comes off of the fingers a little bit in the side motion, that way the arrow is actually going to bend in this way, like this, towards the bow. So it bends in towards, this tip here goes in towards the bow. This arrow generally rides along that rest for 7 to 9 centimeters. After that, the arrow starts to bend the other direction. Remember, all this is motion. All of it's in motion. You can't take one little second or millisecond and say that's exactly what the arrow is doing. It's very difficult, because everything is in motion. This arrow is going to be in motion, so it's going to starts out like this, and it bends back like this. They talk about 2 different nodes and all that sort of stuff. Who gives a damn about nodes? I don't. Because all I'm worried about is the fact that when you do testing, this arrow goes to work and will rub, and then it'll flex out this way, and gravity starts taking over, the tip starts in to drop, but the string is controlling the back of the arrow. And the less motion you can get in this arrow, the better off you are. So a stiffer arrow is a lot better than one that's way too limber, because that limberness is going to be doing this, and the stiff arrow is going to be doing this. Very small amount of motion in it. But it's going to stay attached to that string, and it stays attached to that string until it is released at the point where the two part, where the string reaches bracite and it parts. So therefore you want follow through on the bow hand. It's the most important part, because you want to be able to keep that bow on target and steady for that millisecond that string is in contact with the arrow.